Hi, my name is Isabella Blazon, and I'm a cardiac intensive care nurse. In my field of nursing, we take care of some of the sickest cardiac patients in the region, as well as patients immediately postoperative from cardiac surgery. As the nurse, we are responsible for every aspect of our patient's health, heartbeat to heartbeat, every need, every question, every concern, and that can be a heavy load to carry in a turbulent and often misunderstood environment. Often, we as nurses bear witness to other people's suffering, and it is impossible to separate that completely from ourselves as their caretakers. Surrounded by alarms, requests, and beyond, our nurses are bombarded each shift, especially in facilities that do not look after the well-being of nurses. Dangerous staffing ratios and inappropriate assignment of high acuity patients inflame this issue. Taking care of patients naturally comes with difficulties, but when these issues stack up, they can be unbearable. We all know the feeling of watching our coworkers become jaded and harden, or watching our staff shrink smaller and smaller as more of us leave the bedside. Nursing as a profession comes with incredible emotional and psychological burdens. Ultimately, nurses are the hands that heal, and they're the shoulders that both patients and families lean on. But what happens when those hands and those shoulders grow too tired? Nurses make up the largest group of healthcare workers in the United States. We are frequently referred to as the backbone of the healthcare system, and year after year are the most trusted profession by Americans. But nurses are leaving the profession at record rates as demands on the healthcare system continue to rise. According to the American Nurses Association, 18% of nurses leave the profession within the first year of licensure. Another recent study found that the total supply of registered nurses decreased by over 100,000 between 2020 and 2021, the largest observed decrease in over 40 years. In short, nurses are burning out at record rates, and we don't have a plan to stop it. The World Health Organization describes burnout as a syndrome of exhaustion, feeling of negativism, and decreased personal efficacy due to long-lasting work stress that is not effectively treated. This issue existed pre-pandemic and was captured by the National Survey of Registered Nurses, where over 3.9 million nurses were sampled. A secondary analysis was conducted to specifically examine burnout. These nurses were asked if they left their jobs due to burnout or considered leaving their jobs due to burnout. Nearly 50% of nurses working in states such as Ohio, Utah, and New Mexico considered leaving their jobs due to burnout. However, nearly a third of nurses in any other state considered leaving their jobs as well. And this was pre-pandemic. The COVID-19 Impact Assessment Survey by the American Nurses Association in 2024 found that 60% of nurses in acute care report feeling burnt out. This is an issue that cannot stand for both the benefit of the U.S. health system and the well-being of our nursing workforce. The data is overwhelmingly showing nursing burnout is a huge issue in the United States. But why is this happening? Studies are showing it comes down to work environment. Across the board, increased workloads, high stress, poor support from leadership, and lack of communication between nurses and doctors, to name a few. Ultimately, more favorable work environments leads to less burnout. This is reflected in data of states like California and Massachusetts, which report lower rates of burnout. These states have some of the most developed legislation protecting nurses, especially as it applies to staffing ratios. This is no coincidence. Research shows the best outcomes for fighting the effects of burnout comes from the use of many different burnout tactics. Some of these tactics include teamwork improvement in the workplace, improvement of interdisciplinary communication, as well as mental and physical health improvement. Teamwork and communication improvement can take place in many forms, whether that be the improvement of unit culture or an accountability system to ensure all team members are treated with respect. In addition, There is benefit in finding moments for thankful events to acknowledge our nurses' hard work. I think we can all think back to a time where we were acknowledged, and it feels really good. Hospital-driven initiatives are also important to have system-wide culture looking to protect the nurses' longevity. From a mental and physical health perspective, it's imperative we as nurses take care of ourselves. Taking time to decompress, find moments of mindfulness are deeply important for fighting the effects of burnout. This, in tandem with physical exercise, helps us be our best at both the bedside and in our daily lives. At the start of my career, I had a time where I found difficulty coping with the stresses of the job. I didn't prioritize my own wellness, and I found myself mentally taking a lot of work home with me. Consistent focus on health and wellness has completely changed that for me. We must remember, it's impossible to pour from an empty cup. At the end of the day, being a nurse does come with some emotional burden. But if we protect and support our nurses through their career, I think we can improve these statistics. Of course, as I mentioned, some of this improvement comes from the bigger picture, but I believe it starts even smaller with each of us. If within our communities, we foster respect for nurses and all healthcare workers, I think that leads to having more patients who treat their nurses well. That leads to administrators and business people who care about nurses. That leads to people in office who understand and appreciate nurses. And ultimately, it leads to a world where our profession continues to grow and nurses can have long and healthy careers. Thank you.